and prosperity. Agriculture, the lifeblood of our nation. Agriculture is not just about tradition, it's about our future. A nation that cannot feed itself cannot be truly independent. Our policy is built on 3 pillars. First, reducing the cost of food for all Jamaicans. Second, maximizing the productivity and potential of our farmers. And third, improving agricultural sustainability. Madam Speaker, there is no denying it. Food is expensive. I know how difficult it is, and I am aware of the impact this is having on many families. Madam Speaker, this government will not increase the cost of food with more taxes. Instead, we have made strategic reviews of tariffs for food that we do not produce at competitive prices locally. A significant portion of every dollar spent on imported food would be taxes. There are import duties, stamp duties, and general consumption tax, not to mention compliance fees and environmental levy. A few months ago, the opposition spokesperson on agriculture said that he would put a little thing on food. Madam Speaker, I believe that he would do it. They did it not once but twice. In 2007, their government introduced the environmental levy, and then in 2015 they increased it. They heap these taxes on the backs of Jamaican people, further increasing the cost of food. We'll not go back to those days. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, along with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, established a working group to conduct a strategic review of all our food imports to determine which duties to reduce. Recommendations from the group are now being reviewed by the Ministry of Finance for implementation. Madam Speaker, I want to emphasize that these measures will not hurt our farmers. In fact, we will be increasing the Ministry of Agriculture's $1.2 billion production and productivity program to help our farmers navigate any uncertainty. Madam Speaker, in 2016, when we received a mandate from the Jamaican people, the level of direct support to farmers was around $200 million. In 2020, in our 2020 manifesto, we indicated that we would move that figure to at least $1 billion through our AgriCare initiative. We have held true to that commitment, and since then we have provided over $4 billion in direct support to our farmers. Madam Speaker, the government will also ensure through the Consumer Affairs Commission and the Ministry of Agriculture that distributors, wholesalers, and supermarkets do not exploit consumers by inflating prices. Commodity price reports will be published bi-weekly through traditional and social media to keep the public informed and protect consumers from unfair practices. Madam Speaker, as we are all aware, last year was one of the most challenging years for agriculture. We saw our new climate realities on full display as we went through a drought, and then a Category 5 hurricane, and then non-stop rains. The recovery of our agriculture sector must be quick and robust. While a number of inputs critical to agriculture production are zero-rated, the Ministry of Agriculture has highlighted that seeds are not, and as such, are adding costs to local production. I have therefore directed the Minister of Finance and Public Service to do the necessary amendment to the GCT Act to make seeds zero-rated. We care for our farmers. We promote food security now, and we have to increase our international competitiveness and productivity. We will also revise the GCT Act to redefine eligible vehicles to include versatile options like panel vans and small trucks. These vehicles will now benefit from the existing 20% duty concession that currently applies to pickup trucks. In other words, we are removing barriers that limit our farmers' ability to transport perishable goods, equipment, and livestock feed efficiently. You know, Madam Speaker, it's just the things that we do that make sense. So, Madam Speaker, if you look at it, a farmer can easily get a duty concession for a van, a pickup that is essentially a luxury good. Essentially. But what they would really need is a vehicle with more capacity to carry load, which is more practical. And this is when bureaucracy becomes self-indulgent. Thank you. That is it. The bureaucracy is just self-indulgent. And it takes a practical eye to look at the thing and say, listen, just get it done. Don't tell me foolishness. Get it done. So we have to take that approach to transforming the bureaucracy. Because the practical thing is, you need a small truck or a panel van.
Mark, we still don't understand British language.
This government will also move to amend the age to permit the importation of light commercial vehicles from 10 to 15 years to reduce the financial burden on farmers. While our fish farmers have always benefited from these duty concessions, our marine fishers have not. And this is an unfortunate anomaly which must be addressed. So I've given directives that steps should be taken for our registered fishers to be included in the 20% duty concession regime. The effective date will be announced by the Minister of Finance. Madam Speaker, our farmers have faced repeated devastations from drought and storms. After such disasters, there are severe shortages and prices skyrocket. To compensate, farmers replant at the same time, resulting in an oversupply, and in turn, prices collapse. We are seeing this with tomatoes, for example. To address this, the government is expanding our cold storage capacity. Last month, we broke ground for a 124 million state-of-the-art facility in Kirkvine, Manchester. We have also started the procurement process to commence the refurbishment of the Colleyville cold storage facility. Madam Speaker, access to water has been a perennial challenge for decades, but this administration has presided over the most significant expansion of irrigation access in the history of Jamaica. I am pleased to announce that the Parnassus Agro Park, which would have benefited from the Southern Plains Agricultural Development Project, has now been completed. Over 60 farmers have been approved, and this new agro park will commence operation next month. The Southern Plain Agricultural Development Project has now benefited over 800 farms in total. Essex Valley, which would benefit over 1,000 farmers, is almost complete. contract has been signed for the final element of the project, acquiring the pumps and the pumps for 5 wells. I look forward to the commissioning of this system as your Prime Minister in 2026. The final year, we will start, this financial year, we will start the civil engineering work for the $30 billion Pedro Plain irrigation scheme, which will benefit 5,000 farmers. What we did for our farmers in Parnassus, Comapen, Downs, New Forest, Amity Hall, and Bridgepen, we will now do for our farmers in Pedro Plains. Madam Speaker, as we look to the future of agriculture investment in research, but before I go to that, Madam Speaker, this Pedro Plains project was talked about before I was born. As I said, Madam Speaker, I find myself taking up these projects and trying to these legacy projects which other governments start or toyed around and never completed it. And Madam Speaker, it's not a complaint because when you take the baton, you have to run with it. But Madam Speaker, you're waiting for the baton and taking so many batons. It kind of slow you up because you want to be looking ahead. But the truth is, this is an important project. It's an important project. It is going to unleash the productivity of that area. And I'm happy, Madam Speaker, that I will be able to commission that project. Madam Speaker, as we look to the future of agriculture, investment in research and development is no longer optional. It is essential. To accelerate this transformation, we are investing $6.3 billion over the next 6 years in the renovation of borders and other research stations. We are also actively engaging in partnerships with global leaders in agricultural innovation, including in India. Our own University of the West Indies, the College of Agricultural Science and Education, and the University of Technology will play a central role in advancing research tailored to Jamaica's unique landscape. To this end, we are converting CASE into a fully agricultural-based university. The government is also partnering with these institutions to share important scientific work, such as strategies to improve soil quality. Madam Speaker, this is a turning point. Agriculture must not be seen as an industry of hardship, but one of opportunity, investment, and national pride. We are ushering in a new era where farmers are empowered, where food prices are fair, and where Jamaica is globally competitive. Madam Speaker, the cultural and creative and entertainment industries are cornerstones of Jamaica's informal economy, contributing significant income for many families. Madam Speaker, rest assured, the Aspire growth strategy recognizes the vital role of these industries, and my administration is committed to providing the resources to support and expand them. Madam Speaker, a once forgotten location, Fort Rocky, is now poised to be our first declared entertainment zone. The Minister of Culture, will give us more updates on some of the other initiatives that are there for the creative industries. But Madam Speaker, you will recall the launch of the $1 billion Jamaica Screen Development Initiative launched in 2024. I am pleased to announce that 406 applications were received from local filmmakers, and 259 of these met the criteria for further evaluation. In fact, 7 projects have already been awarded film festival support. A further 9 films in progress will also be awarded support to complete their filming. And just yesterday, another 51 films were selected for development funding, and evaluation for films at the production level will begin shortly. This is the start of a burgeoning film industry in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, we can attract top-tier movie productions to Jamaica. We saw that with the Bob Marley movie produced by Paramount. And for that film, over 1,800 short-term jobs were created and US $20 million was spent in the country. JAMPRO is currently negotiating a co-production treaty with Canada, which will allow Canadian filmmakers to partner with Jamaican filmmakers to film in Jamaica. We are also pursuing similar arrangements with Nigeria, India, and South America. Madam Speaker, with sound policies and funding, we will make movies for the world based on our culture. Amen. That are produced by Jamaicans at Jamaican facilities. Madam Speaker, there is a great call for more incentives to the film industry and for entertainment. And the government is considering it very carefully because we understand the different dynamics of the film and entertainment industry. And so we are seriously reviewing our policy. We have made a commitment and we provided the $1 billion. In budgets to come, no doubt, we will provide further support. But what we have to be always careful with, Madam Speaker, is that when we provide scarce funding, we can't just allow it to be used up without tangible results coming from it. And so there is a process which can be very involved to ensure that we get value for money from the funds. But I want to say, Madam Speaker, that we see the great potential that just one big feature film can do for Destination Jamaica. So I want to give assurance to the people in the industry that the government is sympathetic. The government